Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Podcasting Mastered. I'm Chelsea, and I'm here with Wade as always. And we're back in this part 2, covering the second half of Reign of X. If you haven't already, go back and listen to our part 1 or any other prior X-Men comics you may have missed. We've been working our way through the Krakoan Age. I mean, it's been a lot of comics, guys. I think in the second half of Reign of X, I read roughly 80 comics. So we're clearly covering a lot in these 2-part episodes, but definitely there will be things that we miss. But to kind of recap what we talked about in the first half, we covered Cable, Hellions, X-Force, New Mutants, Marauders, Sword, Way of X, and Onslaught. So Wade, which one should we cover next?
Let's do Excalibur.
Yay.
The weird one.
Oh my gosh. I love it though because I love Betsy, but also just it's the weird one because this is the magic one. This is the fantasy one. This is still dealing with Otherworld, kind of fresh out of the Ten of Swords stuff, continuing on past that, but also dealing with, Britain and their major hatred, which also is fresh out of the Hellfire Gala where Britain announces, we are done with you mutants. We don't acknowledge this treaty, whatnot. Nah, man, get your gates out of here. Get your mutants out of here. We still hate Captain Britain because Captain Britain's a mutant. Why?
Oh, not just a mutant.
A woman?
A girl. Mm-hmm.
And not a super straight girl either. So there you go.
Sexist, racist, and homophobic. Come on now. Come on, Britain.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so, which I just think this is so funny that it's not really funny, but also it's just Britain's just okay, we're going to witchcraft people because witch breed is bad. Mutants are bad, but let's just use
breed. I love that. I love that slur, witch breed.
It's so ridiculous. And I'm how do you think why do you think your witchcraft is better than that? I'm confused here, but okay, that's cool.
It's human magic. That's why. It's just human magic.
Oh, human. Mm-hmm.
We get our magic from making deals with demons, but you all are just naturally gifted.
Born with it.
Witch breed.
Yes. Homophobic. Yes. Mm-hmm. Indeed. Legit. But you have the British government just using the magicians because the whole thing also at the end of the Hellfire Gala, you have that Pete Wisdom was sacrificed by the Akaba. I don't know how it's pronounced. The Coven.
Yeah, Coven Akaba. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coven Akaba.
Which is just a group of wizards, I suppose, working with Orcus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Poor guy too, short-lived character, but I liked him.
Well, I mean, he immediately comes back in the first episode, or the first issue of Excalibur after this.
It's too bad to see him die. It's oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, it was messed up. Yeah. So they sacrificed him to bring back Morgan Le Fay. They're all okay, we're working with you, government. We so hate these mutants. I'm so glad you guys are in on this. Yeah. Let's get rid of these gates. Let's get rid of Betsy. Let's get rid of all the Braddocks. Let's just be done with it all. And so they're working on their ideas behind the scenes, but then you have everybody in Otherworld dealing with King Arthur stuff. Literally dealing with King Arthur stuff.
Yeah. Literally dealing with that jerk King Arthur.
Yep, but he's also been manipulated, mind controlled, kept under wraps by Merlin, because Merlin in this he is evil. And Merlin's okay, I'm bringing out King Arthur from King Arthur is the rightful ruler of this area. He wants his kingdom back. I want my place as ruler of all. And so they're just stirring up more just anti-mutant hate. Basically, Otherworld has also become a place of we don't want you mutants here, and mutants are kind of
and it's it's hard enough to live in Otherworld without all that happening.
Yeah, and even though Avalon, the kingdom and stuff, that's the kingdom that Arthur wants back, but that's being ruled by Jamie and stuff, and that's the mutant home basically. And so Merlin declares war on Saturnine. He gets to take the place in the Citadel, but Saturnine's still alive. She still has a few tricks. Or
she escapes,
things.
yeah,
she escapes.
She gets
because,
out of there.
I mean, Betsy is
of course,
dedicated to
that
her
bitch
cat.
She can't get what's coming to her because
No. Even though Betsy freaking hates her, but she knows duty, and she
always does the right thing, though.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and she's like, "That's my goal. I am still Captain Britain. I am serving."
And Saturnine is still just like, "Which breed?" Like she's always just
Well, she's just
Being a
like,
jerk.
I wish you were your brother unless you want to also fall in love with me, kind of, maybe. Then I might take it, basically. And Betsy's
maybe. Like, it. I guess I would be fine with that.
Yeah, and then Betsy's like, no.
No.
No, shut up, woman. Shut up, woman. I will protect you, but that is it. We are moving on.
Like, business only, lady. Business only.
Yes. And they're like, and you still can't have my brother, so we're moving on. But that's basically all the chaos that happens. Big old war. I still love that team, even though we do miss Rogue, because Rogue has moved on to another great team, though, which we'll talk about next, actually, with X-Men. But we also do get kind of a new person to replace Rogue, but not really a real replacement, because we get to see Shatterstar join up with them, because he is... Wow, I'm just looking out. He's the boyfriend of... Wow, what is his name?
Aren't they married?
Are they married?
I think they're married.
Oh. I thought they were just, like, boyfriends, because, like, he had been, like, Shatterstar had been gone fighting for a while, but I just thought they were, like...
It's not Prodigy, is it? It's not Prodigy.
No, it's, Richter.
Richter, oh my gosh. Wait, but isn't he, like, Apocalypse's boyfriend, though?
Well, I mean... That's his daddy.
Sugar daddy, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll teach you all the magic you want to know. We all know what's happening behind the scenes there.
Anyway, moving on. So, dealing with, the very end with Excalibur and stuff that ends, actually, Excalibur, because the story continues, but it will be, which at the end of it says it'll continue in Knights of X, but we see lots of stuff. We also get to see Doctor Doom for a bit, because Doctor Doom was like Morgan Le Fay's ex, and it's like, I want her castle and that whole weird story, but...
Dr. Doom is such... He pops up so often in these mutant stories in Krakoa, and it's always so funny, because every single time, he literally will be like, portal in, he'll be like, I heard you try to do this thing. Yeah. That's too bad, because I'm better at it than you. And he'll just, like, lay waste to the team that's trying to do it, and they're just like, dude, can you, like, give us a minute? And he's just like, okay, I'll help you. Yeah. Only because I want to. But it's like, again, it's after he comes and just decimates them for even daring to try to do this thing that they really need to do, because he can do it so much better. And they're just like, please don't kill us again. He's just like, okay, we'll team up. And then he just does the thing. He's like, and if you ever cross me again, and like portals out. It's every...
He is a drama queen. OMG. That is for sure. He also, I think, has a meeting at one point with Storm, and she's just like,
he does.
I'm not
it's
here
the same
for
thing.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's all like, I heard you're on the galactic scale now. It's too bad I'm better at that than you. And she's just like, okay. And he's like, but no, really, we should get together. We would work really well. And she's like, no, thank you. And he's like, okay, we can be business partners. And she's like, no, thank you.
She's like, our dinner's over. And he was like, I hate you. You're going down. Yeah.
And she's like, dude, some decorum. And he's just like, no. And he just like snaps his fingers and leaves.
Yeah. Pouty. Yep. And he's all pouty during this story too. And he's like, I want my castle. And everybody's like, you want your ex-girlfriend's castle? And he's like, I have stuff there. And they're like,
She still has my stuff.
Yeah. Basically. And that whole ridiculousness, but with him gone, whatever, so we have just lots of mutant hatred, Wishfried hatred everywhere, and so you have Coven Akaba basically doing their final thing at the end, because with this all-out war, all the mutants that were there, especially those younger children, because of, like, Betsy's niece, also Jubilee's child, like, they have to get out of there, go through the portal. Well, as soon as they go out of the gate, Coven Akaba blows up the Braddock Tower that had the gate, and it's gone. Luckily, everybody made it out. But, we have to have a big, go out with a cliffhanger, is that Betsy's magical sword for Captain Britain that she has, or whatever, that was made with, like, of the Citadel or whatever for Saturnine, she has a hold within the portal still to Otherworld, and she's like, I have to fight this fight. Yep. And everybody's like, no, you don't. We hate you, Betsy. Why'd you leave us? Yeah.
Don't do this, please.
Yeah. And she's like, I have to, because duty. And so, yeah.
And Jubilee's like, LOL, you said duty.
Yeah, basically.
Because she's a child.
Yes. Yep, but that's Excalibur and it's all its glory.
Oh, yes. All right, so And there's so many cool things coming, like with that same team later. But you'll have to get there first, I suppose.
Yes, well, we'll cover that in future episodes. Yes.
But now we get to talk about, like, I don't know. I was so happy to see the return. Well, not the return, I suppose, but the restart of this book.
Revival, yeah.
The revival. Because when the Krakoan Age started, there was a book that was called X-Men. Mm-hmm. However, because of the state of Krakoa, there wasn't like an X-Men team. Because everybody was an X-Man. If you're a mutant, you are on the side of X-Men. And so that book, for a solid year, the first year of its, of Krakoa's existence, was just the story place for the overarching Krakoa story. Sometimes you're with these people over here doing this. Sometimes you're with these people over here doing this. It just kind of depended on the direction that we needed to go in. But after the Hellfire Gala, where mutantdom as a whole psychically voted for a full X-Men team, they voted in a team in this new team, which really, truly, like, not a surprising team at all. A good team, but not a surprising team. They relocate themselves to New York. They create like a treehouse, like using Krakoan technology, right in the middle of Central Park, so that they can be there to protect humanity, while like the rest of the mutant race can protect Krakoa, because that was their thing. We're still the friends of humanity, and we will still protect you. So they go out. They live in New York now. And the book is like revived as X-Men back to number 1, but now it's following the adventures of the X-Men team. And the initial team is Cyclops, Jean, Polaris, Wolverine, Sunfire, and Synch. I think Synch is like one of my new favorite mutants. Because he had been around for a while, but then he died. And his power was like, if he was in the great vicinity of another mutant, he could like borrow their power. Like in a weak form, but he could do it. He could use anybody's power as long as he was close to them. Well, he ended up dying, and it's been a long time since he's been around, but they revive him, and they like kind of like unlock his potential, I suppose. And he can... Gosh, they do so many cool things with him.
Like, this book does a really cool way of, like, just having everybody utilize their powers, like, almost a little bit of that combination. But, like, yeah, it's a really cool team. And just, he's grown from, all of his time, like, all the thousands of years he's lived, per se. Because
he got sent into the vault with Laura and with, oh my gosh, what's his name?
I'm not going to be able to remember that.
Oh, no. He can like adapt to any situation. Like he can immediately evolve himself into whatever it is that he needs to survive that situation. Oh my gosh. His name is Darwin, because of course it would be. Yeah. But like what's his mutant name? Oh my gosh. That's gonna drive me crazy. But so he went in, and because they can live for like ever, essentially. He's the only one who made it out. So he has all of this awful trauma and stuff, but he has grown throughout all of that time of like trying to survive within this hellscape of a place. But he can basically use anybody's powers to their fullest extent. And I love it. Like him and Jean become pretty close friends. Yeah. She becomes his mentor in a way.
Yeah, because he's just really able to like utilize like those abilities of hers.
He attaches himself to her powers, and she's just like, "Do you like that?" And he's just like, "This is crazy." And she's like, "Have at it, my friend. I'll teach you everything that I needed to learn to master these abilities." And it's so good for him. But having like a duplicate Jean in the party, not a problem. But he continues to grow throughout the years and stuff. But this team comes together, and you get your little monthly adventures with the X-Men team.
Yep, it's the villain of the week.
Villain of the week, but it's so good though too. Did you read the issue where Nightmare comes?
Yes.
It's like Halloween or something. Halloween night. And like all of New York is having like awful nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're calling out like in terror, and like it wakes Jean up from her sleep, and she's like, what is going on? And she says, kind of goes like floating around the city, and she starts diving into people's dreams to figure out what's going on, and she realizes, oh god, it's this douche.
She's like, go back to where you came from.
Yeah, she goes and she ends up finding Nightmare, and he's all like, lo and behold my dark and terrible power, Jean Grey, because you cannot stop me. And she's like, first off, I was sleeping. Secondly,
rude, yeah.
Get out. Like, she just like backhands him basically back to his little hidey hole, and she's like, don't ever let me catch you doing this again. Because he's all like, but I'm Nightmare, and she's like, I don't give a shit. I'm Jean Grey. What of it?
She's like, and you're gone.
Well, it's such a crazy, like, it's like a small reintroduction to who Jean is as a person. Because like while she's been in stuff through the last year, she's just kind of been there. She hasn't like done crazy things. She's used when like X-Force needs a telepath. Very small things. And it's like, no, you need to be reminded like who Jean Grey is. So what are you going to do? Pit her against Nightmare. Nightmare is typically like a Doctor Strange villain. Yeah. And he's not a small villain. He's like, because you can't kill him. He is like a force of nature, essentially. Mystical nature. But he is a very, very, very powerful villain. And Jean just comes up and she's just like, stop. And he's like, okay. You know, like she had to like reset boundaries with her powers. Like, that's not how that's going to work. And it basically ends with him going like, okay, so you want to be my nemesis. All right. And she's just like, I wouldn't call a mosquito a nemesis, but okay. But he'll be back. He'll come back eventually. Yeah. But I love that it's such a silly issue because it's like literally just Jean. Yeah. Like that's literally all it is. And it's like even it's such a peaceful one too, you know, but like it's such a great one.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's like. It's exciting to see this team, but like this was just like a tease for like what's to come. Oh, I did want to mention something real quickly about this because I thought it was really interesting. Is that the location of the X-Men treehouse in Manhattan and the area that the garden area around it is called Seneca Gardens. It's actually based in like real life history.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it's kind of in memory of the place that used to exist in that area of New York called Seneca Village, which was once a thriving Black community in I think the early 1800s. And unfortunately, there was rich white people in power complaining about things, and they basically forced the community out of their neighborhood, all because they wanted to build a place that many people are probably familiar with today called Central Park. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to highlight that because I thought it was really interesting. It was also something I didn't personally know a lot about. But
I'm really glad you did because I'd completely forgotten. Like, they don't like skirt past it even in the series. It's just been, I haven't read it in such a long time, and I'd forgotten that very small but just so like such a unique little tidbit that like X-Men's throwing a bone to. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because I was just like, okay, well, I want to read up more on this because I was like, yeah, it's one of those things I think many people might not be familiar with, but it's cool to have that little there and then read about something.
Well, and I also love that like they have this green space where people can come. People can come visit the treehouse whenever they want to.
Yeah.
Like the X-Men live in the treehouse. There's like different floors and stuff. But the bottom floor is open to the public. People can come in and visit with the X-Men and like kind of look around and just do their thing, and it's cool. It uses like all like Krakoan technology, so people can't get past the first floor like regardless. So
But there's some a little bit more like little lightheartedness or some really interesting things, just kind of establishing things. But we do kind of also set up, I'd say, two kind of pretty significant things, especially is that like one of the kind of villain of the week stories is something that's been like slowly building up. It's the whole thing of what's his name, like Cordyceps. He's like this plant like
Cordyceps Jones.
Yes. That is like the ruler of Game World, which Game World is basically like a casino world.
Like a galactic casino.
Yeah. But they bet on Earth because he has like a bone to pick with Earth because he wants to rule it and basically have his infection spread. And so he's just like
they essentially, he hires like bad guys to go and attack Earth. Like, and then people bet on like, will this person succeed in destroying Earth this week? Like that kind of thing. It's not so Saturday morning cartoonish as it sounds, but that's kind of the gist you get for a little bit.
Yeah. There's actually 2 other important things that happen. It wasn't just 2 total, because you also have, because Krakoa is what it is, and because of the mutants that live there, and this whole idea where, you know, it doesn't matter if they die because they'll always come back. So you can always come back from death. But the public doesn't know that, and they realize that the public shouldn't know about it, and that there are some flaws with this when you have a group that is the X-Men that is more in the public
that is
eye.
out in the world and fighting evil and stuff, and accidents happen. And sometimes people don't survive.
So you get like an early retirement, except for people who don't want to be in retirement, like Cyclops. So there's a part
Cyclops, he eats it.
Yeah,
he
very
bites
publicly.
the dust.
Very
publicly. All over the pavement. It's great.
And because, you know, they've just, like, Cyclops has been on so many missions already in this Krakoan age, and he's just, you know, he's woken back up and he's ready to move along, and they're like, hold up, though.
Well, yeah,
there's
like,
problem.
But you can't.
Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, because the people need to realize, like you need to know you're dead. So
the people saw you die. They saw you die.
And we can't have them seeing you come back without questioning our big secret. So he becomes Captain Krakoa.
Captain
a little bit
Krakoa.
Of a tease for that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that is continued or adapted, how he deals with that. But that was just...
You're right. Yep. And look forward to that. That's I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a thing that still exists right now.
Okay.
In some shockingly important ways. So, yes, indeed.
Okay.
What was the last thing, I wonder?
Okay, so the last thing is that there's this human who's been training, focusing his whole life on the one thing that he can do for humanity, is that he wanted to set up a home on Mars, and then lo and behold, the Hellfire Gala happens, the mutants terraform Mars, and he is devastated and angry. Yes.
Yeah,
and
he's like the Chinese equivalent of Tony Stark in a way. His dream was to terraform Mars for humanity. He worked tirelessly night and day, creating technology and hypotheses and all of these things that would get him to this one goal, and in one evening.
Just in one little evening.
It was all snatched away from him. I forgot that this is where he was introduced, and amazingly also incredibly important for everything that is currently happening to the day.
I'll believe it. So he goes, well, if I can't have Mars, I'm going to go on one of those moons, and I'm going to make sure they know the humans are watching. And
it's so funny.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if I can't have Mars, don't dare call it Araco. If I can't have Mars, I'll take one of its moons. So he does. He goes and he does. And the Iraqi X-Men are like, no. And he's like, no, absolutely, yes. And they're like, oh, okay. He puts up a fight and he wins that fight. And they're like, okay, well, you stay there. Please don't come to Araco. And he's like, oh, don't you worry, I won't. And it's so funny because he like sits on his little moon. He's like that old man just like staring menacingly kind of thing. Like for a while, that's all he really is. But like, he's just kind of up there glaring at us. And I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention, I think it was actually in Way of X that Nightcrawler crosses paths with him, I think, the whole thing.
Oh,
because they're dealing with stuff with Araco and stuff, and then that's when he's just all like, I got the moon now, and Araco's like, no, we're gonna kill you, and then like, oh, because he blows up the station, that's right, he blows up the sword station to come crashing down on Araco, and... I think, that's what happens, right? Yeah. And then Nightcrawler teleports and is able to teleport an entire structure back to where it was. And, like, that's, like, an epic feat of teleportation and also dealing with the whole thing.
That poor boy, he's so tired after all that. Because he uses, like Cortez to, like amplify his powers.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the cool thing about Cortez, because he can do that. Only when he wants to, which is like never. But
Yeah.
he does do that to help Nightcrawler be able to teleport the entire freaking sword station back up into orbit, which is bonkers. Which I'm pretty sure he, like... Does Kurt die from that?
Yes.
Because, like, he's up in space. Like, he teleports into space.
Yeah. But also just like, dang.
Kurt dies so much. Poor man.
Oh, man. But also just, we have humans watching, and dun dun dun.
Yeah, and that'll take a backseat for a minute, but it'll be back. Don't you worry.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Fei Long, he is doing some stuff.
Orcus is ready to welcome all the humans and mutant hatred for sure and problems. So I think that's all I've got to say about.
Yeah. So
X-Men.
like that's kind of the end of like the series, the general day-to-day plot that's been happening since the Hellfire Gala. But we need to like funnel it in to the finale here of the saga.
Oh boy, let's see. I don't know how quickly we'll get through this, but these are some big,
these are
three-ish big stories.
Big things, yes.
Yeah.
So, Trial of Magneto.
Yep, we're finally getting to that. I know we left you guys hanging for a while because this is the aftermath of the Hellfire Gala and with the death of the Scarlet Witch.
Yes. And poor Teddy walking in to find his mom dead on the floor.
And then when you find out what happens in this story, this is just cruel. That is just cruel to her family.
It is. It really is. So basically, this is so hard to like summarize too because it's just but essentially X Factor comes in, like the Mutant Detective Service.
We get a little bit of them again. Yeah.
We do. And they're like, okay, well we'll like the Scarlet Witch, who is not a mutant, died at the Hellfire Gala. Not a good look. Universally hated or not, in the world of mutantdom, she's a human.
And that
not a good look.
A no-no, yeah.
Yes. So we need to figure out what happened. And essentially, they do all of this, like, magical, timey-wimey detective stuff to find out that, was it Magneto who killed her? Like, that's weird. Isn't he, like, her dad or something? Mm-hmm. And he's all like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, try and catch me first.
Yeah, he's
angry
not even
and upset.
Yeah, he's like not even like I did it or I didn't do it. He's like, if you think I did it, you better come at me. Like, okay, calm down.
Like, dude, that's not helping your case at all.
Yeah, cool. But like, it's all really weird because they're in the middle of trying to figure out the Magneto stuff, and guess who shows back up? The Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. Except. She seems to be like a weird, like, time-displaced version of herself. Yeah. Because she has no idea that she decimated the mutant population. She thinks she's still married to the Vision and is part of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And people are like, that's weird.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, so, and it's, you might, because you have this recency with you. Yes. You might be able to summarize it in a clear picture. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, we'll just start off the bat that, slowly everything is unraveled to the readers, not necessarily to those on Krakoa specifically, only those who were in on it, is that the Scarlet Witch was not murdered by anybody. She killed herself because her whole thing is that, she has been villainized hardcore by mutants everywhere ever since M-Day, because no more mutants. Super infamous situation, the depowering of so many mutants down to only 198 or something like that. It was a whole thing. It devastated people. And then also it was the whole thing, everybody thought she was a mutant too, and JK, she's not, neither is her brother, and she has been the ghost stories for children on Krakoa, the Pretender.
Like literally, the Pretender.
Yeah. Like the cautionary tale to them all, and she just has not been able to cope with that. She can't confront her past. She's been struggling with this, and she
tries to, she's not allowed to. Even if she tries to work on herself to be better, she's not allowed to move past it. Yeah. They always bring her back to that place.
And so she has this plan that she wants to hope once and for all, quote, fix things or do the good that she knows that she can do.
She wants to give something to mutantdom that only she can give, and she hopes that it's something that could make up for everything she's done and more.
Yes. And so she talks to her father, Magneto, who she views as her father, like the whole thing about how I am going to kill myself, but we're going to make it a great spectacle so that nobody really knows what's going on. But I need you to understand, and I need you to advocate for me that you guys will bring me back. I know I'm not a mutant. I know you're aware of that, but I need you to bring me back through your ways because I need to be a part of the system or know how the system works, because she plans this thing where she wants to be a part of the backups and stuff because she has all this magic powers and stuff, and that she creates a pocket dimension. Basically what happens, well, I'll explain a little bit other stuff that happens during this time, but her end goal that she does is that she wants to be brought back through this to create a pocket dimension that is in the astral plane that is all time and space backups of all the mutants that she
were not backed up.
Yeah, that were not backed up during her time.
So anybody who died before this whole Krakoan idea came about, like years and years when they started to like back up the memories of mutants within Cerebro, this would catch any other mutant and anybody else, like, you know, essentially, in this little pocket dimension.
Yeah. And she's like, I know that if anybody found out about this, they wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't accept this gift, but I need mutants to accept this gift for me. And this is the only way I know how to do it, is by like faking my death, or not really faking. She really does kill herself, but like, and so this whole thing happens, and Magneto knows about this. And what you find out is that like, so she kind of like, she's in her head, she's fighting her. Cause so when like she dies, like we get a lot of Wanda time. We get her like fighting her future self in her mind and coping with the past. But because of that, like trauma that she's trying to still work through, trying to forgive herself for all the things she's caused, it creates kaiju. That they're called, like, monsters to fight freaking Krakoa.
Yeah, so like, this is where things get super weird, and it's like, because Krakoa gets attacked by these kaiju, and everybody's like, what is happening? We're dealing with this. We have this Wanda who doesn't know anything that's going on. Like, who actually killed her? We still don't know. And now here's some kaiju falling from the sky. Sure, why not? And Wanda's like, I think I can help, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they are.
Yeah. So then you have this past self version of Wanda and you find out how she came to be. You find out because we get a little bit more of the Five again on their side of things.
Acting out.
Acting out, feeling bad, being like, you know, who's to judge us saying our power can only, you know, bring back mutants? Why can't we bring back humans? Like, we want to help fix the situation. Let's bring back Wanda. We have an old backup of her because at the time when they thought she was a mutant, like, we have a backup. And which plays into a part where you see a little bit where Hope has like the Cerebro like helmet.
She has the Cerebro helmet, yeah.
Which we'll find out more specifically how she gets that in the next portion we talk about.
Indeed.
About how she got that and how story is cross paths and stuff. But I was like, oh, look at her taking charge with this. Like, that's cool. And so she creates this Wanda because she wants them to have somebody. And
yes.
But then it becomes this crazy mental battle, whatever. Scarlet Witch then ends up coming back as her like current self, but merges with her. It's the past, present, future, and becomes whole again. And gives her gift to the mutants. And the stories are told about this woman. And the woman is no longer the pretender. She became the redeemer.
Indeed.
And we finally see one of the characters they've been talking about for a long time. You see them discussed in New Mutants other times because it's also this character his name has been used like in memoriam on different things. So the first mutant to come back because of all this is John Proudstar, aka Thunderbird.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Who was a mutant who had been lost, like, because he died before Cerebro, before the backups. And I love that, like, how this works is essentially like if a mutant has died and they want to come back, like, their soul will be transferred to the waiting room essentially, so that they can come back. If they don't want to come back, you can't force them. But and that works for any mutant. Like, even if something were to happen to Cerebro and it was destroyed from that moment on, the waiting room would always be there for them to bring them back. which is huge. Like, and is it North Star and his husband question mark, who's like, we're gonna have a baby, but the baby had died. But then
they get the phone call,
and it's crazy news because they find out that that baby was actually gonna be a mutant, so they can bring their mutant baby back. And I think I bawled. Family. I think I bawled whenever I read that. Like, crazy.
It was like, what? And then I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, wow, that's just something special with that. Like,
it is. So basically, by the end of the event, you have a Magneto who's just fine. He never went to mutant jail. He's fine.
The trial of Magneto was his feelings or something.
Indeed.
The emotional journey or something.
It's silly. And then you have a newly reborn Wanda with a new relationship with mutantdom, but she's also out to do some more stuff, which will come about later.
Well, we do have to talk about quickly. There is a mutant that goes down for all this, for the murder.
Oh, they do pin the murder on somebody willingly.
Yeah, I think it's willingly. Yeah, there's nothing that really explains from his point of view about this whole thing because we only get some stuff with Magneto and Scarlet Witch.
You'll get it later.
I think so because I thought he comes back later as part of a team or something. Because
he does.
We have the devoted dude who has been around this family, we'll say, for like ever, has been deep in the Brotherhood, is like my man Magneto. Toad goes down for it.
Toad goes down.
He admits that. So he says about, yes, this is how I killed her. This is how I killed her. This is why I killed her. I guess, the telepaths in the room didn't really look into that, or was just kind of like, okay, we see what's going on here.
He's been around long enough. He probably knows how to, like, if I focus my thoughts really hard, I'm sure he knows how to get around it.
Yeah. So he goes into the pit.
He does.
He broke the wall. So that's what we see with that. But
he'll be back too. So no worries. And you get a little more explanation on like why he said yes to this whole crazy scheme. But, that's another day.
Yep.
But for now, we lead into like the moment. The crazy.
Yep.
And so I don't know if you knew this, but so all of this, all X-Men has all been leading to this very small event, but very potent event called Inferno, which is basically like, it's all burning down. It's all coming down around their heads. And Chelsea, I don't know if you knew this, but the end of Inferno actually marks the end of Jonathan Hickman's time with Krakoa.
Okay, I thought it was around this time. I just didn't know specifically when it was. Okay.
Yep. Inferno is his ending of Krakoa. I mean, he planned to go farther, but this is kind of like the midpoint where he goes, I'm stepping back. And new creators come in to do more. Yeah.
Which is probably kind of nerve-wracking in the sense, too, because if you have this whole plan, and then, like, it might not quite go. Yeah, it'll be very interesting reading the rest of how it all goes down. But yes, this is the moment, truly, like you said. This is where things go up in flames. Not quite literally, but in
so where do we start with Inferno? I mean, there's so many big players in this story. Essentially, like, for Krakoa, you have Charles, Magneto, and Moira McTaggart, who, like, their plan to create Krakoa, peaceful nation of mutants. This is their plan to, like, save mutantdom from the terrible futures that Moira has lived through in her 10 lives.
Which was in that whole, like, prelude itself.
Right.
The powers of 10 House of X.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing. And that's what goes through her lives and stuff, and her creating this dream.
Nine other lives, 9 other very different endings to mutantdom have led to possibly this perfect place for mutantdom. This is the one. Quote. This is supposed to be the timeline where they get everything right. They do it all. And with that, such a crazy thing, there has been secrets that have been kept. There are wrongdoings that have stayed silent so that others can prosper, like with Mystique, for instance. Yes. Now, if you all probably know who Mystique is, and you probably know that she a bad bitch. And you don't mess with her, you don't break your promises, and you certainly don't betray her. Since the very beginning of Krakoa, Mystique has been on board with everything Krakoa stands for. She's been there to support it. She's been there to die for it. several times.
More than she probably realizes, because
more than
there's been some
more than
messing
she
with her.
remembers,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been promised something since the very beginning. You help us establish Krakoa, protect Krakoa, help it prosper. We will bring back your wife, Destiny. We will give you your loved one back to you.
Yeah. It's all just words. They
It's
just
all
want to
just
make
words.
it impossible for her to ever succeed with these things.
It's a sword dangling over her head.
Yeah.
It's an infinite carrot on a stick. Now, to be fair, I think Charles and Magneto, they want to do that for her. But Moira has expressly forbidden a certain type of mutant from ever being revived.
Mm-hmm.
And that is any kind of mutant who can essentially see the future. Because she's afraid that if a mutant can see the future, then that mutant can see all of the dark, sinister things that have helped create Krakoa. And with that information out there, it could lead to the doom of Krakoa.
Yeah. Which, then you find out what the real reason was of why.
Petty, no reason.
Well, it's a little, but we'll get to that.
It's not as petty, but like...
Well, half of it's petty. The other
Yes.
part is because that's not her true intentions, so...
Indeed. So from way back in Powers of X, during one of Moira's lives, she creates a complete cure for mutantdom. Mm-hmm. A complete wiping of the X gene.
Yep.
Almost the very moment that she has realized, this is what I've done and I am so proud of myself, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants show up and wipe out her work. They murder her staff, and the Brotherhood at this point is run by Mystique and her wife, Destiny. Mm-hmm. Destiny is a prophet. Destiny can see the future, and she saw she saw what Moira had been doing. Mm-hmm. But Destiny can see more than just the future. She can see basically into Moira's multiple lives.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And she warns, one, they destroy this quote unquote cure, and all work related to it, but they also warn her, in any of your lives, if you ever try this again, we'll wind up in this exact same situation with a gun to your head, ready to start this whole thing over again. And Moira's like, but you can't. And Destiny's like, we're not negotiating. It's very straightforward. And so Moira kind of lives the rest of her lives in fear of crossing Destiny again, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, and Destiny also drops a bomb, whether to believed or not, about, she's like, because Moira's like, well, I'm just going to keep coming back. You can't stop me. And she's like,
well, let me tell you how your powers work here.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you don't have infinite lives. You only have 11.
You have
potentially.
Well, you have a 10. Full 10.
Full 10,
and maybe 11th if you do something correctly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or something.
So this is 3. Here's a bullet to your head. Enjoy your 4th.
Yeah. Or she gets burned to death, I thought.
Oh, does she? Something like that.
So they're we're going to make you suffer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll never do this again. So you'll remember.
Yeah. Because how Moira's powers work, one, she has this weird reincarnation, but when she dies, the timeline resets to her birth.
Mm-hmm. And she remembers everything from her previous lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as she reaches the age of 13, so her powers, activate.
Manifest, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if she dies before the age of 13, well, she still remembers stuff. She always carries the knowledge with her. But the reincarnation aspect specifically, it is only there after she turns 13. So if she dies before that timeline sticks. And goes on, and she's dead. That's how it is. So she spends the next 6 lives doing this thing, and then this thing, and trying to find a way to make sure that mutants always win. Mutants will live forever. All of this awful, awful stuff that's happened to them, we can ignore it because we'll make the right decisions this time. Until the 10th life, which is, where canon currently sits, where she has come up with the idea of Krakoa. But
things start quickly unraveling because she has expressly stated again and again she doesn't want Destiny around. She doesn't want anybody who could see the future. And so she tries to initiate things further with, Moira specifically does, with Charles and Magneto by saying, I want you to destroy her backups. I don't want Destiny to ever
we're taking no risk, because Mystique she begins to be pretty aggressive about the whole Destiny thing. And Moira's like, that's fine. Like, get rid of her then.
Yeah. And so, that becomes a thing that, like, is actively going to happen. But lo and behold, there's a Quiet Council meeting, I believe. And Mystique wants, because we've had some changes within the Quiet Council, too, about some spots needing to be filled and whatnot. And you see that she wants to nominate somebody. I believe that's how it happens, and it's Destiny.
Oh, because Apocalypse is gone.
Yes, that's right.
Because Apocalypse has been left for a while, and they haven't filled his position. And they're all kind of like, everybody's like, well, I'll put this person in because that'll benefit me the most, or yada yada yada. And before anybody else can make a move, Mystique's like, well, hold on, because I have a person, and they're all like, who could you possibly have?
Yeah,
and none other than Destiny walks out.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's me.
Yeah. And there's a little bit about like, oh, we don't want you on the council. Like, Charles is like, no, I refuse. And Destiny is all like, I've already seen how this all goes. Like, So,
like, Charles is ready to like evict himself from the council. Like, he's like, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Well, he should have.
Yeah. So then, like, that's how it kind of establishes things, and then she joins the council, and then we kind of do slowly a little bit of a flashback to how this moment came to be, because you're just like, how did some of these people vote for this? Like, how did Destiny come to be? Which is where we get Mystique using her abilities, which I'm just honestly like, I'm not sure why this took so long to happen, honestly. She pretends to be Charles, has the Cerebro helmet, one of them, and talks to Hope and be like, hey, I need you to do this. This is going to be like on the DL. Like, I need you to bring Destiny back. Like, let's just do this quickly. No big deal.
And Hope's all like, I'm really sure we're not supposed to do that. Sure, sounds cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think she was being really pissy with the council,
she was
though,
for
at
a
the
bit.
time.
Yeah, because she's like, yeah, sure, why not? Like,
you know what? Let's just do it. It's fine.
Yeah. And then she's like, all right, Professor, are you ready to activate things? And then that's when you get, oh, no. I think the time has finally come for you, Hope. It's your turn to take
Oh, she plays her like a fiddle.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, now she's got it all right now. And Hope's like, are you sure how to do this? And Mystique, Professor X is like, just feel it open up. You got this. Like
blah, blah, blah,
like,
blah, 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 blah. And Hope's like, oh, that makes complete sense. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then she succeeds. And then Mystique / Professor X is like, you don't need to give that helmet back to me. It's all yours.
It's all yours.
You've
earned it.
You've earned this.
Isn't it Magneto's Cerebro helmet?
I don't remember which one it is specifically.
I'm pretty sure she goes into his house as himself.
Oh, that's right.
And she takes his, because somebody's like, Magneto's helmet is gone. Like, they're aware that one is missing something. Okay. And Magneto's just like, that doesn't sound right. Like, I wouldn't just take that. Why? I don't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Hope's like, cool. Like, I'm glad I've been given this responsibility. Better watch out, world. I'm going to do what I want now.
And then she brings Wanda back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. But then we also see the moments where, like, Mystique and stuff is meeting with different members of the Quiet Council before this announcing.
Oh, she's she's like Game of Throning it up. She's like meeting with all these, like, who are the people who are most likely to say, sure, let's have Destiny join us if that, when that comes to a vote. And she gets it in there. Yeah,
she tries really hard for some people, and then I love for, like, Shaw, she's like, I think Emma's gonna say no. So, you want to make her really mad.
She plays him too. That was real easy.
Yeah, he's like, I gotcha.
And then she just makes sure that he votes before she votes.
Yes.
And then he's just like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But like, I remember, like, I don't remember how she gets Emma, but I remember she was more like straightforward with Emma about the situation, like.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the whole specific thing, but this is like, this whole storyline is like unraveling, finding out the truth, which I think it comes to be like where Emma finds out a lot and she takes a lot of steps to.
Oh, this is half of an Emma story. It's like half Mystique and Destiny and half of Emma.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to remember specifically. I don't know why I can't remember, but I'm like, I just read it recently because I don't know if this is No, if the vote takes place before or after Emma finds out, because Charles and Magneto
It's gotta be.
know.
It's gotta be after, because after she is just so completely like done with them.
Yeah.
I'll have to go reread it myself because
Yeah.
I mean it's an amazing read. It's only 4 issues, but God, are they packed?
Yeah. We'll dive into more about Emma and the whole Moira situation, but
Mm-hmm.
Destiny is not the only one who becomes part of the Kite Council. We also get Colossus joining.
Indeed.
And what we've seen a little bit of Colossus here and there in some of the stories in this second part.
He's very detached from Krakoa.
Yeah.
Like
He's
he
been
just
living, yeah.
he just wants to be like he just wants to live and be peaceful and just not be in the middle of all the crazy.
He wants to just like be one with the earth, so he works with the flowers, the plants and stuff that helps, makes all the medicine, the Krakoan gifts to give to the world. So he's like out there, you know, hard work, long hours, and then he just comes home to this new girl that he has a part of his life that's, I think it's only his like girlfriend. I don't think they got married necessarily.
I don't think
but,
so.
like, but they're just like having this like country vibe, like quiet life, and
They're happy everything
until
is good.
Yeah. But then because Colossus has an evil brother.
Because
he also has, because,
comics.
there has to be, I guess, the bad egg in the family, because then he also has a sister, magic. But now we get the bad dude who's, we've already mentioned earlier in prior stories, our Russian mutant that hates Krakoa, that wants to manipulate things. Well, he works with this other mutant, the Chronicler, to kind of like write Colossus's history, kind of like nudge him one way or the other to like kind of control him. So like they have their own agenda for him. So some drastic things happens, like he's living this happy life, and then Colossus murders his girlfriend. Just
out of the blue, absolutely just puts her down.
Strangles her to death and then buries her to be one
and
with the Krakoan
walks
flowers.
away. Just walks away.
And then he gets chosen as part of the council. And you're like, whose plan is this really? Who's really pulling the strings with all this? Because people want him there for other reasons, but then you just put a big old, like, controllable, like, mole right in the Quiet Council, right at the center. Like, oh boy.
For sure. The council really gets shaken up by this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's just a lot because Destiny's there and she's blind, but she can see multiple possible futures at once and all these other things. And it's crazy. Like, she can basically read minds with like how crazy she can look into the future.
Yeah.
She knows how to nudge people into doing the thing that'll send us to this future. She knows how to manipulate things. She's also there just to flat out call out BS all the time. Although she creates just as much BS herself. Because she is, with her powers, she is not selfless. Her one goal is to like keep Mystique alive. And if that means she sells out the world to keep Raven alive, then she does.
So be it. Yeah.
Then so be it. But that's a story for later. But in the middle of Destiny coming back and Charles and Magneto being equally like fearful and pissed that it happened under their nose, and Moira is just absolutely raging, that this whole experiment has come to an end because Destiny's back, and that's the end of that. And then Emma finds out about Moira and everything that's happened, and
because it was the whole thing, we need to bring somebody else powerful into it to help fight with us. And they're like, okay, well, I think we have somebody on the council who we think can work. And so they're like, hey, Emma, we want to talk to you. And oh boy,
that does not work out in their favor.
Backfire for them.
He like, Charles is basically like, go ahead, read both of our minds and you'll understand like the full backstory of Krakoa, essentially. She does not take that well. She's mad. They are liars. They have essentially betrayed their own race. And she's like, I'll do this one thing that you're asking me to do again, but don't you ever like talk to me again, essentially. Like, you played the only card that you have to play, and you will be burned to the ground for it. Like, how dare you betray the children because you all felt this way about things. Like, how dare you? Yeah.
Okay, side note. So I forgot, I double checked how Mystique got Emma on her side. She gives her a mysterious black box that she took from someplace, and it's some box that Emma had been looking for and been wanting something. And so we don't get to see what's in it, but she's like, I will do you a favor, and then that's what the vote is. So, side note, I wanted to quickly amend that. But then,
and I just remembered what that is too, so hey.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Okay. But yes, that we don't get to find out during Inferno what's up with that, because
no, not yet, but we'll get there.
Other bombshell. But okay, so we were talking about Emma. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that.
No, that's okay. Well, so Emma, she's like on like a warpath essentially now. The whole fact that Moira has been completely hidden from the mutant eye, but she's not the only person that finds out about it, is she?
Nope, because somebody has known all along.
Our precious baby boy, yeah.
Who's not so much of a baby boy.
Well, no, he wanted to play adult games, and he got adult answers, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And we have, oh man, he's been playing for a long time, which is interesting because, like we said, this is where we get to reveal all the secrets, or a lot of them, yeah. Yeah. So we have Doug,
who is the only person, because of his power set, he's the only person who can communicate with Krakoa, and they're like besties. I love it. Yeah. He finds out, because of his relationship with Krakoa, he finds out that Moira has this no place within Krakoa that Krakoa itself can't even sense that it's there. But he figures it out. Krakoa's like, well, there's this place over here that's I don't know, because I can't feel it, but it's part of me, but I can't see it. Yeah. And Doug is like, well, that's weird. So he looks into it. He has looked into it for a long time.
Yeah, because he also worked with Warlock too, who also is his arm and stuff. But Warlock is also throughout Krakoa as well, I thought, and also to help
has fused with Krakoa, yeah.
Yeah, to also further help him know what's going on too around the island in a sense, and to help with these spots, because these spots keep popping up. There's these spots where that either Krakoa itself or other people who are on the island are just kind of these weird dead zones, and some of these are considered tumors and stuff, and there's some things that play out and some upcoming stuff as well.
And that one of those places, it was where Moira lives. Yeah. She's not really allowed to leave it, because I think people think she's dead, right?
Yeah, and she doesn't want to reveal herself. It was her original purpose, but then she complains about
being stuck there all the time, and
and I'm like,
blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
shut up, Moira.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to be said about Moira. For sure.
Oh, well, we're about to, too.
Started. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So Doug has figured out that, they're keeping secrets, and he, does not trust Xavier anymore, and all this other stuff, and he doesn't, he also create his own little no place?
Yeah, well, at the very beginning, he didn't completely trust Xavier when he was told to speak with Krakoa and work with
for sure.
So he he set his
stuff in motion immediately.
Yeah, because he's just I don't know about this. In theory it sounds good, but you never know with Xavier. I've already been burned too many times, basically. So.
Well, he was left in the canon of poor Doug Ramsey. That's his name, right, Doug?
Yeah.
In the history of poor Doug Ramsey, Xavier left him to die so that he could go be with his cool space girlfriend. Yeah. Literally, he let the child of Doug Ramsey die, and that was the end of that. It then brought him back so that he could
get
figure out Krakoa. And Doug was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Bro, why? No.
Bro, why?
Bro, you're sketchy. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that was stupid. Okay.
But so Doug is kind of involved in all this, but now Destiny and Mystique are Moira what now?
Yeah. And
so they're okay, well, we're gonna go after Moira because she's being sketchy.
Yeah, and we don't like her. And Destiny's still adjusting to
being alive, and having access to all these brand new futures that Krakoa has created, and all of these. So
she can't quite see everything quite clearly yet with Moira and everything, but Mystique's yes, I'm ready. Let's do this. And so we get this whole plan that gets put in place, which it's very interesting because we get where Emma's really kind of being Destiny and Mystique, here's what up, hint. Also, I have your perfect weapon that you can use in this instance. I have something, it's just a gift. I know you guys do what you want with it, but
not my business.
Just an idea, yeah,
Not just an idea.
yeah, just an idea, I didn't come up with it myself, no. And then presents them. Yeah, basically. She's like, I have this gun, it's a one of a kind.
I'm just going to leave it right here and walk away. Yeah. Whatever happens, not my business.
Yeah. I think you might be familiar with it, it's the thing that Forge made that everybody thought was destroyed. I thought Forge made it, right? Yeah, take away me. Yeah, take away me.
Because that's like his ultimate regret in life that he stumbled upon it, basically.
Because he can't just not create things, and then he goes, oh crap, there's some
oops
issues with things I make. Oopsie. So they're like, cool, got this. And so what do Destiny and Mystique do? Gotta kidnap Moira.
Because what their plan is, so Emma gives them this gun that basically will take a mutant's powers away. And so Destiny and Mystique are like, okay, we'll just use it on Moira, so she's a human, and then we'll kill her.
Yep.
So that the timeline is not replaced, and we can fix Krakoa, and Krakoa can go on and do great, wonderful things.
Yeah. And I'm just like, Mystique, you still have your villain vibes, because we literally had to monologue about this. You could have gotten it done, honestly, girl. Like, we could have been more efficient with this, but you had to be like, this is the weapon, I'm taking away your abilities, and then I'm gonna kill you.
Seriously.
You're human now.
They're like, we're gonna kill you, but we'll tell you our pseudo-evil plan.
Yeah, and why it will work in this. I'm just like,
and Moira's all like, she's like, but hold up, because I'm actually the more evil one. And she's like, let me tell you my evil plan.
Yeah.
And they're all like, you fiend! And then Doug shows up.
Yeah.
Doug shows up, and he's like, I'm not really sure who is the villain in this situation, but because I'm a nice person.
I'm a rule follower.
Yeah, so like, I gotta give my girl Moira a chance, even though I've literally watched you be awful for forever. Like, she's gonna come with me, she's gonna make a better decision next time, and you all just take a breath, I'll be right back. So Moira's like, you're really stupid, Doug, and she runs away.
Well, no, he doesn't. He gives her a gift before she leaves.
What does he give her?
He gives her an arm to replace her arm, because I think Mystique cut it off.
They cut it off.
Yeah, because they're torturing her, monologuing like villains, taking way too freaking long. You could have gotten to the point without revealing all your stories.
Because she was all like, "You can't hurt me without killing me," and Mystique was like, "Bet."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll take your arm. Like, you're not gonna get far without that.
Yeah, and then that's when Doug is all like, I'm high and mighty because rules are a thing, and they're like, child, why are you here?
Like, you just turn yourself around. We're taking care of the situation.
Yeah, like, just walk away. You were never here. We were never here. And then he's like, I want to give her a chance. Here you go. I think you might need this in life. And gives her the arm, which, ulterior motives there. But also, like, why? But also just annoying of interfering. So, then Moira
it's like an
escapes.
Android arm, right? Like, it's a mechanical arm.
Yeah. With a tracker.
Yeah.
So that's that. So she's
all like, you fool. I'll make my escape.
Yeah. So then she makes her escape. And then we also end this event with Emma.
Oh, yes.
What? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Emma just being like, I've had it with all you people. Guess what, Quiet Council? This is what Charles and Magneto have been doing behind our back. This is everything. I'm gonna show you all of it. And and then that's when, they come back to all the Quiet Council completely, like, comes back together. And
well, and Charles and Magneto are not here.
Yes, yeah, right. So she meets with them all ahead of time.
They're busy.
Everybody else.
They're busy with their own great situation. But that's we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Emma meets up with everybody else, and she's all like, "Open your minds. I got something to tell you."
Yeah. So when they kidnap Moira, okay, so then, that's the part we can get to.
They kidnap Moira.
They originally chopped off her arm.
Yes.
Yes, because they knew that Charles had put a tracker in Moira, in her actual body and her arm.
Yes.
And so they used that as this whole elaborate diversion by putting the arm, because they knew that they would look for the arm because they would think it was attached to Moira. And they...
Naturally.
Naturally. Yeah, because Cerebro can't track her, because that was the whole reason. So you think they're tracking that way, but then you're like, oh, duh, they're tracking the arm. And then you're like, but wait a minute, we're watching what's happening. And they find the arm, and they also told, because we had a Nimrod came online. That was all established,
And if you don't know what Nimrod is basically like the ultimate mutant killing sentinel. He's like AI to like the degree of God, basically. Like Ultron, but like very anti-mutant.
Yeah. Because like you think the Sentinels are bad, but like you have Nimrod that is more of like more.
Yeah, more.
Like, and
Indeed.
can think more and stuff. And like this version of Nimrod that was created was because human scientists worked together, and this one particular scientist was like, I hate mutants because mutants like killed my husband, but I have saved my husband's consciousness and I'm going to put it in this like powerful robot body so I can be back with my husband and we can also take down mutants together. And so like when he originally comes online, like it's her husband with the memories and stuff, but like one of Nimrod's abilities is like to duplicate himself or whatever, so he can like take down enemies or whatever. But like by duplicating himself and this whole process, when other mutants are there, like the Nimrod that had the husband's consciousness like perished, but the consciousness didn't transfer to the other Nimrod, so
now he's just a big psycho robot. Yeah. And then it's revealed that another robot that was like working with the humans at the same time, she's like, yes, we're just gonna call this robot a she, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of Omega Sentinel. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, hey Nimrod, let's have a chat. And Nimrod's like, what's going on here? And being like, yeah, I'm from the future. Like, you know what? The best way that's gonna happen for us to succeed, let's just destroy everybody. Like,
yeah, it turns into like,
machines are the problem.
Yeah, it's not human versus mutants. It's actually machines are better. Yeah. So why don't we just kill them all? And he's all like, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. And they're basically like in charge of Orcus. You know, like the big major human mutant hating group. They kind of like half run it with like the humans that are in charge. Yeah. And so Charles and Magneto go to save Moira. Which is bait. And who do they run into but Sentinel, or Nimrod and Omega Sentinel with like an army of Orcus agents. Mm-hmm. Which Charles and Magneto are like, oh, this is a problem. And Omega Sentinel is like, but why? And then she turns around and like murders all of the Orcus agents. Yeah. And they're like, what? Why did you do that? And then they were both just like, well, you know how we hate mutants. Well, we don't. We just hate you all. Yeah. And it kind of clicks in their brains and they're like, oh, that's a problem. And they're like, and Nimrod is like, it's a pretty fun problem though, don't you think?
Yeah. Like, prepare to die.
Yeah, get a really amazing fight between like Magneto and Omega Sentinel and Charles and Nimrod, and it's a pretty good fight.
Yeah, but then you also have Charles being like, Moira, where's my girl? What did you do with her? And they're like, huh?
They're like, what?
What's a Moira?
Yeah, like what's a Moira?
Yeah. And they're like, it's like, don't lie to me. And then they also realize about, like, that they know the mutants come back to life, and they're also like, haha, like, you want to make a deal because I bet your memories don't come back because you guys keep doing the same thing. And they slowly figure that out, and they're like, all right, if you walk away from this, we'll let one of you survive, and you guys can bring your memories back.
Right, like, we'll let you know that we know. We'll let you. Like, it's fine. And we don't mind.
They're like, no, and then eventually Charles is like, but Moira, where's Moira? And it's like, I don't know, dude. And then be like, okay, fine, we'll let you go. And the robots are like, psych, die.
Psych! I can't believe they oh my god, I can't believe they fell for that. And so yeah, so stupid. They kill Magneto, and Charles is like, my boyfriend, no! Yeah. And then like he goes on this,
and boyfriend are gone.
Yeah, girlfriend and boyfriend. And he goes on this big like psychopathic rage, and like doesn't he like take out one of them? Like Omega Sentinel or something. And Nimrod's like, that's really funny that you did that, but we need to stop that. And so he kills Charles.
Yeah. And then I did have to laugh because I was like, yep, this scene, it's what you deserve. Where they wake up.
Yeah, watching them both. Yeah, and isn't it Emma who's like doing the like, come to me my ex? Oh my god.
Because she's like, what do you say in times like this, Charles? To me, my ex-men. Yeah.
And like she's got Cerebro on, and it's just like, oh my god, it's just perfect. Yeah. And she's like, you owe me. Everything. You owe me so much right now. But then, so at the end of the day, like that happens to those two. Moira's on the run with the crazy robotic arm. Mm-hmm. Destiny and Mystique are like, oh my god, no, we have to catch her. And Doug's like, well, hold on now. like, you see, I had my own evil plan all along. But yeah.
But why?
Yeah, like, well, they're also just like, but we could have just killed her.
Yeah.
Like,
but rules, but
like,
here's how to track her.
Yeah. And they're just like you are so dumb.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it'll be fine. That turns out not to be the case.
Nope. It never
truly
like
is.
Of course not. That's because you never let the villain get away. Never monologue too long either.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you also find out that a perfect, Krakoan nation with mutants living forever was not Moira's goal.
No.
It never was.
No. Moira also has the same self-loathing. She hates being a mutant. She hates all mutants.
Because they never win. They can't be happy. So the ultimate solution is to just
no more mutants.
Get rid of them.
Cure them of their disease.
Cure them or kill them. Yeah. Whatever is easiest.
And I'm just like, woman, you just want to be on top no matter what. You just want to win for yourself. It was never about this. You just made everybody think it was about.
You want the last laugh.
Yeah.
So
you want the last life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, is it at the end of the event where she does the thing?
It's at the next one. The prelude.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Inferno is kind of the end of Reign of X, and then after Inferno ends, where everything is just awful, we get this other little kind of midway event that kind of connects Reign of X with the beginning of Destiny of X, which is called the X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine, which some of it is very much relevant to the story, and some of it is not. At the very beginning of this whole thing, you had House of X and Powers of 10, where you're kind of telling you're telling two completely different stories that at the end are extremely overarching, and they set up the whole Krakoan thing. This one tries to do the same, but it's not. One half of it is, somebody's going into the past and trying to kill Xavier's dad so that Krakoa never happens. And so Wolverine is chosen because, why not? Wolverine is chosen to go back in time to his past bodies and stop. Because he's lived so long. And stop this person from killing Charles's dad. He's successful. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
that
whatever.
Brings up more Omega Red. It's their fight, but it's also with Mikhail being controlling because he had the Cerebro sword. And
it's all very just non-important, complicated stuff that is, everything works out in the end. It's fine.
It's non-linear storytelling and just monologues from Wolverine. Yeah. Everybody
loves hearing about Wolverine during Civil War. It's all nonsense.
Yeah. Which I don't know if we'll talk about that briefly. I had a problem with the storyline because it really annoyed me. Because, I don't really have a huge hate for Wolverine. When I think of Wolverine, I think it's kind of cool. I enjoyed him probably outside of the comics more so. I love him some of the TV shows, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, people either love it or hate it, but fun to see on screen and stuff. But I've never been he is my ultimate number one favorite. He is the greatest of all time. But this story basically implies if Wolverine, as in Logan, did not exist, our problems would have never been solved. He is mutants' greatest savior. That is what the story
They do
says.
Treat him like that, very much so. We have to keep him alive at all costs. It's okay, calm down.
Yeah, and then they're also saying, he's the best he is what he does or whatever. And you know what? This was all because of Wolverine. If we never had a guy like him, yeah. And I'm
Krakoa is saved.
Yeah. No, then overall, that's what also annoyed me is that this storyline just implied that there are only 3 important mutants. And if these 3 mutants were a big part, is that it shows that it claims that Moira is the biggest threat to mutant kind, that Wolverine is the ultimate savior, and without Charles, nothing would ever come to be. Yeah. And I just am that is just such a very simplistic look at things. In my opinion.
And Jean is there the entire time, basically being Princess Leia. Help us, Wolverine, you're our only hope. And it's dude, you can send yourself back in time just as easily. You know what?
I'm
How about that?
Woman, you're all powerful. Also, you have a freaking son whose life is time travel, basically.
Yeah,
who has
we can figure this out.
Yeah. I'm just okay.
Yeah.
this is plot reasons. Let's be like.
So, like, you have one half of it with Wolverine going through timey-wimey stuff, killing Omega Red over and over and over again. But then you have the important other half.
Yes.
Which is not connected to this other story at all.
No.
Well, not one bit. But basically what it is, it's like Moira's story. Like, Moira coming out of Inferno, what is she up to? It's a little more important and a lot more interesting than Wolverine's story. But basically, she's like, my body is kind of like sucking it up because I have cancer all of a sudden.
Because
I've got like stage 8.
A parting gift.
Yeah.
Stage 4 lung cancer.
Yeah.
And who does she go to visit to find out the news? I thought that was random and funny. She goes to see her doctor, Jane Foster.
Yeah, that was kind of really random. Like, okay.
Like, they were buddies, and she's like, hey, I didn't know you were still alive. That's so great. Like, oh, by the way,
but also,
you have stage 4 cancer, so.
And Moira's just kind of, like, sitting there just like, son of a bitch, they got me. Like, she's like, she's like, concerned, but she's also just like, well, would you look
all
at
more
that?
To fuel my hatred.
So basically, by the end of that story, she's just kind of, like, left her body behind, transferred her consciousness into a computer to, like, create, like, an AI Moira. And then that AI is put into a robot of herself.
That she buries away from herself for safekeeping.
And she's like, I created this a long time ago in case something like this were to happen. And then it's, like, hinted that this is, like, the mythical 11th life of Moira. But I don't think so because of, like, current things that are happening. But that's another story for another day. But basically she awakens as this android version of herself, and now she's gone just full like Saturday morning cartoon villain, where she's like death to all mutants, tee hee, except now her Scottish accent is all of a sudden activated, so she's all like,
well, it's because she did get sent back there too, which we didn't talk about how she gets back to Krakoa. Oh my gosh, we have to talk about the disturbing piece of information. So
yeah, go ahead. I forgot about this.
Oh yes. Because, you know, since she's, quote, not a mutant anymore because she got her abilities taken away by the weapon, she's like, well, I'm stuck back in my homeland. And guess what other mutant also lives in her homeland? That would be Banshee. And she's like, hey, dude, how's it going?
Poor guy.
Like, what? Like, you're alive? And she's like, yeah, but some really sucky stuff happens, and I need you to take me to Krakoa. And he's like, I don't know. And then you kind of jump a little bit ahead, and you're like,
she's all like, I wasn't really asking, but thanks for trying.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, Banshee came through. And then you're like, then you get more of like Moira's inner dialogue, and she's like, he probably would have come around eventually, but I didn't have time for that. She literally had carved his face out, and she wore his face through it and then pulled it off. Like,
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And Banshee's another one of those mutants who, like, throughout the Krakoan era, he just gets screwed over time and time and time again. Like, and this is kind of like the icing on the cake. Like, she just cuts his face off, kills him, slaps it on hers, and just walks through the gate. No worries.
Yeah. I still think that's such a stupid flaw. You can walk through the gate with parts of, like, how it's the gate not intelligent enough. Yeah.
I'll tell you, she does it a couple more times, but far more creatively. So yeah, she does come back, and she basically comes back to be all like, you thought I was a goner, I'll crush you all, and runs away like another villain. Like,
yeah. And then that's when kind of the two quote stories merge, kind of, because we get like, lots of like air quotes during this time, because we get Omega Wolverine, who hatched out of an egg in Krakoa. Oh, plot twist, it's the Wolverine of the future timeline where he also dealt with Moira, who was like part robot. And
well, they were like together, right, during that time?
Oh yeah, he was like torturing her and stuff. Or no, she was torturing him, and this was also a weird thing where he had a Krakoan gate that was stuck in his eye for safekeeping, and he ripped out his eye and planted the Krakoan gate to go back to the future past, whatever. This is like a messed up version of Days of Future Past, basically. Like, seriously,
it's all it's all nonsense.
Yeah, and this Omega Wolverine had also been imbued with the what's it called? The stuff that Warlock is a part of.
The techno-organic virus.
Yeah. the whole thing. And so like, but because he has his healing factor, he's been holding it back, but he knows his purpose in life. He knows that Moira is the one true villain he must face. And so he conveniently is in the timeline where this Moira is getting by, you know, trying to get her revenge and they have this whole out fight, and then you have all the Wolverines come together calling them all Cells Wolverine. Cute, happy family with that. Love all them, but, you know, fighting, and then they're like, but this is the real villain, blah, 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 and that's when they kill her. But then not before she takes away this Omega Wolverine's healing factor, but she has that weapon, uses it on him, and then the virus takes over, and they have to put him down or take it out or whatever. Yeah.
He ceases to be, and that's the end of the story. That's it.
Yeah, and that's when Moira rises from her grave, rises from the ashes as her robot self, the 11th.
Indeed.
Life. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. All because of Wolverine. Everybody's saved.
Everybody's saved.
Until Moira emerges.
Indeed.
Like a zombie.
So from this point on, we enter into the third era of Krakoa, which is the Destiny of X. Destiny of X is pretty big. It's pretty beefy. There's a lot of really amazing stuff that happens. There's some really cool events that we'll cover. Judgment Day, that's the Avengers and the Eternals and the X-Men all come together.
Ooh.
Amazing. And then we will end that one in a really big way too. So, listeners, I hope that you have enjoyed us going on for a very long time about Reign of X Part 2. If you're still here with us, thank you so much. We're so glad that you stuck around with us for that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably be splitting Destiny of X into a few more parts because, like I said, there's a lot that happens. There's so many books and there's so many events, and it makes sense to give more of those sections their own time of day. But hey, we really hope you enjoyed it. Reach out to us. Let us know if you've been reading along with the X-Men stuff. Let us know how you're feeling, who your favorite Krakoan mutants have been in this era. I think we have several ourselves. Some that probably sort of surprise art like us, who we didn't think we would like so much, and here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else, Chelsea?
Just, be sure you follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, social media platforms at Pod Demastered. Once again, thanks so much for listening to this episode, and we hope you tune in next time. See ya.